out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
It's amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Van, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a new river thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark.
D. Hit us up in the McClellan Chiropractic chat room, Professional Door Incorporated text line, and whatever may be on your mind. We'd like to hear from you. Coach Elmo will join us coming up at 7. Coach Grantham will join us Wednesday. They had their practice schedule moved. So we'll have Coach Elmo and us today here on the program. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Good morning, Stephen. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel. We open up today's show with a very heavy heart, as the gentleman on the left is Thomas McHugh, a.k.a. Mick, as many of you may remember. Pastor McHugh, he was a pastor, also worked for the Radford Transit System. Lifelong Yankees fan. There he is with the best closer in the history of the game, Mariano Rivera. He shared that picture with me a few years ago when he had a chance to meet Rivera shortly after his retirement. And the Mick passed away yesterday. I got a message from his wife, Peggy, who many of you know, who also worked at Radford for many years. Terrific family, known them a long time. And the Mick passed away. And I know he's been battling with some illness for a while. So it's a difficult bit of news to receive. He was a natural showman, if you will. He was terrific on the air. He would fill in and guest host many times in the persona of Mick, lifelong Yankees fan from New York. Told me a lot of stories of him growing up about how he was actually, knew a lot of folks from the mafia, the mob, your typical New York scene and so forth. So it's very sad. And we're thinking about him this week and his family. Very difficult time, as I said, for all the assistance that he gave me on the show and all the wonderful friendship that he has shown over the years. And many of you remember, I know I put up a post yesterday, many of you were talking about how much you enjoyed when he would fill in as the guest host of the program. So very sad day as we start out another week. As Mick is no longer with us. And boy, I tell you, it makes you just reflect, don't you? You just start thinking about your own mortality and all these things that happen in your life. Thank you, Dr. Laundrie. Appreciate that a whole lot. You're welcome anytime. And I hate that I didn't really talk to Mick. I'd lost touch with him over the last several years. I know he'd been battling some illness. They were in the area for a long time. He and his wife, Peggy, they moved away. Many of the folks around Radford know Matthew McHugh. Was a really good baseball player, coached baseball, may still coach baseball around, I'm not sure. But in any event, it's always very sad when something like this occurs, and it's one hits very personally to me. And if you know Peggy and if you know the family, please take the time to reach out and let her know today. That would be great, or this week at some point. So start off on a very sour note, but very sad, very sad. He'll be missed. He will be missed. So I got that news. Yeah, I was doing broadcasting the Radford women's soccer game, and I got a message as we began the second half from Peggy, his wife, that he had passed away. So I appreciated her sharing that with me. So I wanted to share it with you. And he was a major part of the first run of the radio show. And there were a lot of times I just started having children. A lot of times I couldn't be there. Things that happened, basketball travel. And then he would fill in and do a great job. So we'll miss him greatly. We'll miss him greatly. But in any event, we did have a first full weekend of football. preseason football, but it was glorious to see. We had some injuries that were highlighted on turf over the weekend. I'd like to think so, Dr. Laundry. Or do I work hard? I think I do, yeah. Thanks, everybody. Please subscribe. What's up, Mafia from Lesbian? From Lebanon, I'm sorry. That's a lesbian. Welcome from Lebanon. Welcome to, well, what should I say? Welcome, Lebanon, Mafia. Sorry about that. So I just got distracted by this. Did you see this? Speaking of sports movie ties, Hayden Panettiere, who played the youngest daughter of the assistant coach, died. I don't have any details, but Hayden Panettiere has passed away. There you go. That's kind of what? It's terrible. It's terrible news. Well, I hate to see that. That's very sad. 36 years old. Damn. Horrible vibe to start the week. Oh, hello to the Philippines. You know, if we get subscribers from Lebanon and the Philippines, that'll be 2 more countries subscribing to the show. It'll be 17 nations that have subscribed to the program. So thank you. Thank you. Hit us up on the Professional Door text line, by the way. Thanks to Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios, 540-200-8294. Thanks to Jason Green and Company, familyfencingnrb.com. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, 155 Walters Drive, over in Christiansburg. Sponsor of our chat room. Professional Door Incorporated up in Dublin, 40 years in business. Text line is 540-391-0788. We presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Thanks to Jonathan Sweet for all of his assistance. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. The best in the business, going around and taking care of your air and heat units. There's nobody better than those gentlemen. Our BDST fan question of the week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry. You guys have done a great job supplying them, so I'll continue to let you supply it. 701 West Main Street in Radford, Ryan Pry. Trust and estate planning expert. Reach out to Ryan. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of yours truly for the last 36, 7 years, whatever it might be. Lost track. A lot of years, over 3.5 decades, and the exclusive banking partner of this program. Thanks to Lara Ramsey and her amazing staff. They are everywhere doing a great job. ReadySetFund.com. Visit the website or just reach out to bobchrist11 at Gmail for more information on how you can raise money. Sundown Electric. Excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients, one of the best electrical services in the region down in Elliston. Reach out to the Smith brothers. Thanks to the NRB Super Bowl, 540-382-5525. Leagues are forming now, men's, women's, mixed, and for kids. And Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Give James a call, 540-381-8011. Manufactured parts for your home. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel for supplying our T-shirts. Well, thank you, Dr. Laundry. Appreciate that. So thanks to all of our great sponsors, and thanks to all of our great listeners and everybody who makes this show possible. Mind isn't in a good spot today, given the news of the Mick, but, you know, it's, oh, my goodness gracious, my camera. That better? There we go. Lord, I don't know if that's better or worse. We had a little movement there on the camera. That better or worse? What do y'all think? Hey, what's up, Morris? I hope you're doing better, by the way. From the blue waters of the Chesapeake Bay to the hills of Tennessee and now the sandy beaches of Palm Coast, EST is live and online. I know you've had a rough time as well, Morris. I hope you're doing all right. Thought about you a lot. And I hope things are going okay. What's up, Bap? Why do I feel like I've altered the camera here? Camera got moved just now, but I guess it's all right. Is that all right? I guess it's all right. Is that all right? It's all right. Well, okay, we're thinking about you and your family, Morris. Tough time, man. Tough time. It does. You know, I thought about it yesterday evening. I just kind of got home from the soccer game and just kind of sat there thinking about the Mick. And it makes you come back to your realization about what really matters, the important things. And I do it all the time. I'm guilty of it. I worry about really stupid things and could focus on really stupid things. And your own mortality or your immortality, whatever it might be, starts to kind of hit you in the face a little bit. So, yeah. But that's why we come on the show and we spend some time together. And if nothing else, we have a couple and a half hours every weekday here where we can kind of forget about all the airs of the real world and all these things. I know it doesn't always work. Yes, Steve and Mike. Yeah, Hayden Panettiere is dead at the age of 36. It's an open investigation. Nobody really knows what happened to her. She was just walking around New York 2 days ago, they said. They showed some footage of her. And there's a lot of speculation. She just wrote a book about the pedophilia of Hollywood and what she went through. She was going on a tour and talking about all the problems of what Hollywood's really like. And now she's no longer with us. So there's going to be a lot of conspiracy theories out there. A whole lot. But yeah, she has passed away at the age of 36. No news yet, and we'll see what happens there. No news yet on exactly what happened. Very sad. Very sad. Hard to believe. Wow. Coach Elmo today. Todd Grantham will join us later in the week, probably Wednesday. He had his UAB coach's schedule altered. Now that you're getting into week 3 coming up, I guess. We're going to have college football soon. And look, I enjoyed the preseason games. I watched the Broncos game. They look, it's preseason. It's hard to get all fired up, but they look good. They've won their game 27-7. What's up, Bob Chris? The real life Cheryl Yost went to Tech. She died at 34. It's crazy. Good to see you, Bob. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, it's just one of those. It's just one of those days today. It kind of hit me hard, to be honest. Finding out about the Mick, it did. It hit me pretty hard. And again, when you know the family and you have those things, it just boom, hits you in the face. And I'm thinking about them, not necessarily how I feel, but I know Peg. I think they were married 54 years. Imagine losing your partner of life for that long, and that's just the married part. However long they dated, I don't know. but he referred to Peggy as the Fox. But thanks everybody who posted on or commented on the post and remembered, and he was terrific. He was terrific, and he will be greatly missed. And thoughts out to the Yost family as well. Man, it does make you wonder. And I know this sounds like a cliche, but boy, you just never know, do you? You just can't you can't wake up any day and take for granted you're going to live. I mean, you're going to be okay. You know what I mean? You don't sit around and you don't dread and worry, but I'm just saying, don't take anything for granted. Now Hayden Paniere's dead at the age of 36. Known for her roles in Heroes, Nashville, and the Scream franchise. And they seem to be working very hard to make sure you don't try to figure out what happened, at least right now. That's always a red flag. Yeah, that sucks. Just really, really sucks. But thanks again for everybody for posting. Appreciate it. Did you watch football this weekend? I tried to flip around as many games as I could. Broncos beat the Falcons. You know, I didn't look. I didn't get to see the Jets game to see if Jonathan's nephew got to play. Let me see. Or made any catches in the game. But I don't believe he caught a ball. But that's okay. He's on a roster in NFL camp. Washington won their game over the Dolphins. Cowboys beat the Seahawks. And then you get week 2 of the preseason, which gets underway on Thursday. And, you know, these games, you know, there's only 3 of them now. Unless you play the Hall of Fame game, then there's 4. I think we'll, at some point, get even less of these coming up when they decide to play 18 games, which is going to happen. 17-game schedule. I believe it's the only professional sport that has an odd number of games. It doesn't really make much sense. So hopefully if they do push for grass, if they concede to play 18, they'll take another preseason game away. That's probably what's going to happen. But I will say this, and I know it's early in preseason, and I don't want to get too excited. But I have seen fewer flags being thrown by the officials. Many fewer flags being thrown by the officials. I also want to thank everybody going back. I get so many rewatches of the program, and I appreciate that. We're up to over 40,000 views a month now. I just got the report for July. So we're growing, and it's exciting. We will have Blacksburg football here on the channel coming up in a couple of weeks. Need some more sponsors for that. But we're working on that. So we're trying to do some things. I appreciate everybody who reached out when we, couldn't do Big Dog Pop on Thursday, and people were, hey, where's Pop? We missed the show. So thank you for that. And my dauber's a little down today. I don't have a lot of host energy today after the news of the mix. So bear with me today and probably most of the week, but I'll do the best I can. But yeah. What's up, Mark? Good to see you. Mr. Radford. My weekend, was what it was. I did have a good Friday. My wife and I went to Floyd. Sometimes you just need to get over in the middle of the day, the Floyd vibe, the shops and the people. I don't think I've ever had a bad day walking around Floyd. And you eat over, and I know they don't sponsor the program, but I really don't care. Dogtown Pizza is my favorite pizza place. They are terrific. They should sponsor. But I always have nice beverages. She enjoyed perusing the shops, and just always a good vibe over there. And so Saturday was okay. And then, yesterday was kind of, highlighted by the work yesterday. It's never good to work on the weekend. So that's what happened. So I hope yours was, Mark. I hope you had a good weekend. He says, let's go Notre Dame football. It looks like you're going to have a good season. Keep plugging the pizza joint. It'll pay off. Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Yeah. Mark says, hate to hear that about the Mick. Getting a lot of messages on the professional door text line about the Mick. We don't know. Everybody who's asking, I just saw the news myself. Hayden Panettiere is dead at the age of 36. We don't know exactly what happened. There's going to be a lot of speculation about this one, especially she was going around and revealing some of the secrets that she went through. It's what Hollywood is all about, unfortunately. And I think it's been hidden for so long. And now this is going to be unfortunately, this is going to be something that's added to it. So we'll find out, I guess, at some point. Tommy John passed away. That's right, Eric. Thank you so much. I mean, my God, let's just keep it rolling, huh? Tommy John, whose name became synonymous with the most famous unfortunate surgery in baseball. He pitched 26 seasons in the major league, a 4-time All-Star, won 288 games, a 3.34 earned run average. In 74, he tore the ulnar collateral ligament in his elbow. And then he had the surgery, came back to the majors in 76, and went on to pitch 14 more seasons. And Tommy John passed away over the weekend. He was also a Yankee. So rest in peace indeed. Thanks for bringing that up and reminding me about that. I did see that as well. Yeah, a lot of tough news, man. A lot of tough news. Jeez Louise. No, I did not. It's getting ripped by people who loved it. The Lanterns show by DC. Apparently they kill off Hal Jordan in the first episode. There's a lot of really, really crummy offerings out there for entertainment. Yeah. Spider-Man crossed 2 billion, so that's good. Looking back, I can't get over what they did with Jean Grey. It takes away a lot of the movie for me. Now that I've gotten separated from it. I'm not going to say it was a bad movie. Tom Holland was good in it. It's by far his best portrayal of Spider-Man, but none of what they did with Jean Grey makes any sense. And yes, being a comic book geek, it really bothers me. I don't know. They're going to make the X-Men into villains right off the bat. Yeah, I saw that, Wayne. She lived in Greenville, South Carolina. And there's already lots of theories out there about what happened. I don't want to get caught up in all that. But they showed her 2 days ago walking around in New York. She looked relatively healthy. So it's Hollywood. Nothing surprises me coming out of that godforsaken hellhole. Nothing. Nothing at all. I don't watch much TV. If everybody's asking me if I've watched this or that, I don't have a lot. I don't. It's me. I have a hard time sitting down and just turning on a series. I don't binge watch. They're so predictable. I don't get caught up in it. The last show I just watched all the way through was Landman, and I thought season 2 was really poor. Season 1 was really good. Then they got away from the heart of the show. Started watching Tulsa King. I haven't gotten into the second season. I've watched a couple of episodes, 3 episodes. And so far, it's not nearly as good as the first one. So when I get home, I don't really watch stuff. I need to, but I don't. Yeah, that was the last time I paid the price for it, Wayne. Ozark, which had a terrible ending. And then it had a lot of predictability. It was just basically the same thing rehashed every episode. And then they killed Ruth. No, still have not seen Varsity Blues. Yeah, a movie I'll watch. It's hard for me to watch series, especially when you know what Hollywood's incapable of today, or what they're trying to do, almost everything that's released. So I don't spend a lot of time on it. NRB Thunder says, think of Landman as Bad Santa runs an oil company. Yeah, the summer was bad. I mean, they have 2 that's making a lot of money. Like they're both over $1 billion. From what I read about the Odyssey, I have no desire to see it. It's a terrible modern day depiction of it. When I saw freaking Christopher Nolan say that it was too much misogyny, my God, in the original poem by Homer, one of the most respected and revered literature pieces in the history of man. And he remade it with a modern twist that somebody else that I don't want to. When I hear this whole it's for modern audiences, I'm out. I am out. I'm not watching that crap. Spider-Man movies, it's going to make over $2.5 billion. I'm glad to see the genre doing well. And what it is, it's not. You keep hearing about superhero fatigue. It's just bad movie fatigue. It's not a good movie. It's not, but it's told at least in a better light than most of that stuff. Sony does a better job than Marvel does. Marvel gets only 25%. Sony owns the character of Spider-Man. We didn't need. I'm getting a lot of questions about Spider-Man. I guess people finally saw it. They needed to lose MJ and Ned. They serve absolutely nothing. Their characters are not developed in any way, shape, or form. They're just standing around as extras trying to show us how much Peter misses being with them. What they needed to do when they were out of their lives was just start new, bring the real Mary Jane into his life, bring the Black Cat, bring Gwen Stacy into his life. You don't need Ned. He didn't have a relationship with Ned like that at all in the books. This MJ is not Mary Jane Watson. It's Michelle Jones. It makes no sense. She's only in there because it's his wife in real life. That whole dynamic is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's just him pining away for them. They serve no purpose. None. Tell me in any way, shape, or form they're developed, Ned and MJ. Yeah, Project Hail Mary. We watched that, Wayne, finally a couple of weeks ago, or actually about a week and a half ago. And I did like it. I thought, what the hell's the name of the actor? The guy who's going to play Ghost Rider? He did a nice job carrying the movie when it was basically him. He was good. Ryan Gosling, thank you. My mind is toast, man. He was good in it. And I like the dynamic with the rock alien guy. He looked like a crab rock. He was cool. I liked it when he figured out. They kind of glossed over how he figured out the communication system to give him a voice and all that, but that was fine. And I liked the ending. I thought that was cool. That was realistic. That he couldn't make it back to Earth, so he did all the things he needed to do to help Earth, but he went back to his friend who had sacrificed himself for him. That was good. I did enjoy that. Good call. I did enjoy Project Hail Mary. I did. And Gosling was really good. He was good. He seems to be one of the few that hasn't run his mouth about if you don't believe like he does politically, then he doesn't want you to watch his movies. At least he hasn't yet. Prometheus says we used to only get a handful of comic movies every couple of years. Now it's very. And the thing about it, Prometheus, if they were good, if they were done in the story of the hero, it would be good. But when you have Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel, saying he wanted people to write that didn't have any connections to the comics, what the hell sense does that even make? And that's what we've gotten. Doomsday is going to be all it is what they call member berries. It's just, let's put in 60 some people in the cast. Let's bring Robert Downey Jr. back as a different character that people won't love him in. It makes no sense. Here's this character, just to try. It's going to be awful. Well, with Fall Guy, which I did see, it's not a horrible movie. They did it kind of tongue in cheek. So it was the mindset going into it, which made it better. Now, it's not nearly the TV show, but it was fine. It was fine. If the number of viewers drops to 5, I will leave in honor of Jaden Daniels, Village Idiot says. Yeah, Jaden Daniels been taking a beating, huh? Yeah, man, his mom there. The whole thing is just so disappointing. And trying to ask for his Heisman back. Wow. Everybody asking me too about what will happen with Virginia Tech's new apparel deal. It'll be Nike. They'll renegotiate and re-sign with Nike. James Franklin's not gonna go to Under Armour. It'll be Nike. Mark says, having my coffee, laughing hard. Last thing I would expect this morning was you talking about Spider-Man. Love it. Yeah. It's not a good movie. It's not offensive. Tom Holland was good. If you could separate Tom Holland and his Spider-Man portrayal and the rest of it, that'd be great. But they advertised like all these villains were going to make appearances, and all they did was make cameos just so they can react famous comic book covers of different Spider-Man titles, which is cool. Like they did the Amazing Fantasy 15, his first appearance when he was swinging through with the guy in his arm. I appreciate that effort, but the story itself was really poor. Somebody tell me the purpose of Ned and MJ other than, hey, you remember these characters, right, young people? You don't want them out of the movie, so here they are again. They serve no purpose in the movie whatsoever, except when Peter was sitting around, oh, no, I'm so depressed. And being a huge X-Men fan, what they did with Jean Grey is a crime. And then she just gets away with it. She just got to leave. Nobody did anything to her. And they try to make excuses for her. She killed people. She forced the old man, to go out in the middle of traffic where he got taken apart by a vehicle. Then she seduced MJ's mind or whatever when it made it look like she had remembered Peter. And psych. They made her into just this evil, horrible character. How do you come back from that if you're getting ready to launch the X-Men franchise after this disaster that's going to be Doomsday and then the Secret Wars? They have no clue what they're doing. No clue. And again, I'm glad to see it's making a lot of money. It's going to finish with over $2.5 billion. Spider-Man is separate than superheroes. There should be 3 IPs in the superhero world that's always a hit. Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. Well, James Gunn has killed the DC universe. Superman, the new one, was god-awful. I couldn't even make it through it. It was so bad. Supergirl is one of the 5 worst movies I've ever seen. It was one of the most idiotic things I've ever seen. He has open disdain for Superman, had the stupid-ass dog pissing on an article about him leading off the movie. And then he had Superman get his ass kicked the entire movie. First scene we saw him, he's laying face down in the snow covered in blood. Superman. He's Superman. Gunn will not get a chance to make a Batman movie. He doesn't know how. And he's going to be fired soon because the universe is a piece of crap. And Supergirl is going to lose over $300 million. But those 3 should be slam dunk. Spider-Man's always going to do well because people love Spider-Man. They love Spider-Man, right? It's just the whole thing. He's an international superstar. He's the biggest superhero in the history of Marvel. He's the one IP that's going to be able to intertwine worldwide. The international box office is massive too. And people like Tom Holland. It's a guy with 2 superhero names, Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent. It should be like their first movies. Yeah, exactly. So if you're a DC fan, just answer the question. So you start out with Superman, which was terrible. It only I say this, it only made $600 million. It didn't make its money back. Budget was 300 and some million after marketing. So you only get half of that. People always think, well, it made this amount of money, so they made that money. No, the studios only get half when it's domestic. They get less than that, about a quarter of the the money, when it's international. Why do you follow it up with Supergirl? Why wasn't Wonder Woman next? Why wasn't Batman Supergirl? And then to put that piece of crap out there? I will fight you, RDSN. Marvel's far superior than DC. The characters, the base characters are. But DC is not transferred at all on the big screen because they've had bad people running it. You've got IPs there that should be a slam dunk. Superman should be a slam dunk. Christopher Reeve was a slam dunk. Then you haven't read much of Marvel because it's just the opposite. How old are you, RDSN? If anything, it's the complete opposite. Marvel's characters are more relatable to humanity and everyday. That's why Peter Parker is so popular. He's a normal teenage kid. He's got all sorts of problems. Well, there you go. He has problems with his girlfriend. He has problems with his job. He has to deal with his aunt. He has to deal with his identity. It's why he became so popular, which is why he is the biggest star. And he's the biggest film star. It's Spider-Man. It's not Batman. That's why this movie is going to make $2.5 billion. DC's characters are very simplistic. Superman should not be, but he turned out that way. Batman is not necessarily simplistic. But I will say this. If you had good people doing them in the theaters, if you had good people making movies who understood the IPs, then it would be a much different thing. But they don't care. I really don't think they care. I think it's pretty clear that they don't care. Stick around for a real hero, Godzilla -0. Yeah, I'm looking very forward to that. All right, Mark. Take care of yourself, brother. Be good. DC has far superior villains. Really? Who's superior than Doctor Doom? I'm not talking about the stupid ass movie version we're about to see. Thanos. Lex Luger? No, Lex Luger. I just saw Lex Luger. Lex Luthor? Freudian slip. The Joker? The Joker didn't become the Joker until what? Batman 251? When Neil Adams turned him into a psychopath. Joker was just a clown before that, literally. Hence the makeup. The Riddler? Ooh. It was a different time, Thunder says, when Hollywood didn't hate America. Correct. And they do. Hollywood hates America. Absolutely hates America. Yeah, Bane was a silly character in the movie. The voice. The Penguin series was good. That was really good. And they're not going to make season 2, by the way. Where's the Bigfoot comic superhero? Well, there is a Sasquatch character in Marvel Comics, by the way. He's part of Alpha Flight. I've got him somewhere. I got to figure. Oh, he's up there. I can't go get it. It's one thing I like about going to Floyd. When you're in the shops, you see a lot of Bigfoot stuff. A whole lot of Bigfoot stuff. That was fun. That's right, Steve. I remember when the Mick would threaten people. If they pulled against the Yankees, he would threaten to get the mob after him. Yep. Absolutely. Good-natured stuff from the Mick, who passed away yesterday. No, RDSN, that's, Now the current, I'll give you this, RDSN, the current state of the books with Absolute Batman, which is a phenomenon in the Absolute series. Current Marvel sucks. It's been ruined by Disney. So I'll give you that. The current stuff. Wayne says Hobby Lobby has really cool Bigfoot stuff. I don't know if I've ever been in Hobby Lobby. Have I even gone to Hobby Lobby? I don't think so. I may have to change my pup Tico's name to LeBron. He loves belly rubs, walks up and flops to the floor. With all the smartphones, Light Free says we have Bruce Wayne identified, discovered in a week. Light Free. You should subscribe. Good stuff. Well, I got a text saying I was wrong about the Joker. The Joker, yeah, he debuted as a killer, homicidal killer, but then they went away from that in the 50s and 60s and portrayed him more in a manner that doesn't. It comes back with issue 251. That's why it's such a famous issue. It's called The Joker's Revenge, something like that. The Joker's 5, yeah. And then, of course, we got the Heath Ledger version, which took it to a totally different level. Totally different level. Okay, which characters has Marvel copied from DC or DSN? Moon Knight is more of a Batman type. I'll give you that. Rhetorical question: why when the change of Batman and Superman, they always feel they have to go back to the original stories again too? I don't know what they do, Wayne. I don't know what they go back to. I think they try too hard to incorporate modern times. Yeah, when they change the actors, I know. Lightfree says Batman like James Bond. This is a good point. It only really worked in a certain time period in the 60s. 2026, no secrets. It's true. It's true. Batman's always intrigued me because of what he was. He doesn't have any superpowers, and how he's been portrayed in the evolution of the Batman. Well, I guess we go by the movies and the books, and now there's Absolute Batman, which is doing extremely well, which I have not read, but it's doing exceptionally well. But I'm trying to figure out which characters that Marvel has copied from DC. I will give you Moon Knight is kind of Marvel's version of Bruce Wayne, kind of. Yeah, right. They had him fighting Superman. That would have lasted about 22 seconds, maybe. Which is the whole problem with what Gunn did to Superman in that first movie. It's a terrible movie. Yeah, and then they turned his suit Lightfree into that, military. Yeah, it turned it into like the armor, the body armor. Okay, well, RDSN, give me an example. The Hulk is nothing like anything DC has. Thor is not anything like DC has. Captain America is not like anything DC has. Those were old Atlas. Captain America was old Atlas comics in the day. Now, DC does have the Golden Age lineage going for it, and I respect them for that. Action Comics #1, or whatever the issue is. I think it's Action. Superman throwing the car. It sold for 12. No, you haven't given. Okay. Let me see. Well, Deadpool. I mean, he's a modern character. Doctor Strange was around in the mid 60s. You think Thanos is like Darkseid? I missed that. Sorry about that, RDSN. I missed your examples. Bruce Wayne, the champion of the Batman era. Who was your favorite Batman in the movies? That's always a good question. Who was your favorite Batman? Who was your least favorite Batman in the movies? Do you go back to Michael Keaton as being your favorite? You go back to Adam West? I mean, y'all tell me who was good, who was bad. Adam West is the only true Batman. I don't mind the newest one. For me, this is Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was good. Surprisingly good. Was Aflac any good? Who'd you have? You had Val Kilmer, Aflac. You had who was the one that played him in The Dark Knight? What was his name? What was his name? Yeah, Clooney was one. He was terrible. God, George Clooney was freaking awful as Batman. Just awful. Christian Bale, thank you. Sorry, man. I'm having trouble with names today. Thanks, Ad Hockey and B2B. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. But I give DC credit for being the first superheroes in the golden age, but the Marvel heroes that were created far exceeded them for many, many years. Not now, because the writing is so bad right now. All right, Coach Elmo is going to join us in just a second. I'm going to go get Creed, and we'll get Coach Elmo on. And thanks. It's been good to talk about all this stuff. Like I said, with the mixed passing, it's been a little heavy today. So I'll be right back. Come on. All right. Thanks for your patience. And a good conversation. Kind of got my mind off of stuff. Are you kidding me, buddy? You want right? Now he wants right back out. It's like working with a 3-year-old. Hang on. Dude. All right. Sorry. Animals call. Yeah, I did the silly putty. Yeah, sure did. And you would stick it on there and then stretch the yeah. Gotta be careful not to eat the silly putty though. You don't want to do that. Yes, Sam. The Mick passed away yesterday. Thank you for the message on the professional door text line. He did. He'd been battling some illness for a while. He passed. He passed yesterday. Very sad. Very sad. Great dude, and was terrific. Just standing in behind a microphone like he'd done it his whole life. And always maintaining the character, which was what I really appreciated. He always maintained the character. And he did have ties to the mob. He had ties to the mafia. He was very vocal about that. Ended up being a pastor, but he didn't grow up that way. Yeah. So very sad. Very sad. Joining us now on the program, we're never sad to see Coach Elmo. What's going on, Coach? Good to see you.
God, I still have a job. Thanks, Rick.
You do, man. You do. How was your weekend? What'd you get into?
Not much. No, just a lot of happy hours through the weekend, and didn't do much. Actually, I've been extremely busy. I mentioned this to you before. I'm breaking down Central Michigan for the University of New Mexico, doing it a lot different way than I've ever done it before with the PFF, doing it by personnel, starting with the quarterback, pass, run. There's so much heavy run with the quarterback. It's a Navy offense. Offensive coordinator came from Navy. It's been a lot of fun. Been tedious because it's been such a long time. I'm, forgetting what I used to call things and how I used to identify things. And it's been like, oh, thank God I don't have to do this for a living anymore.
How has PFF helped? You like the PFF, don't you, Co? You like what they offer, don't you?
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's a godsend. I mean, right now you can use it. You can use it for. I know Todd. I've talked to Todd about it. If they want to look at an offensive, the right offensive guard, pass protections, in drop back or play actions, you can break it down and send it. Let the player study it. That's going to play over him, or pick out your lineman that's your weakness. Let's say, for example, the center is really a poor pass protector. Well, when we used to do, when we got into the 46 defense, the bear covering the center and the two guards, which a lot of people are doing today. It's as I'm breaking this down, I mean, it's a base front for everybody because it's a pain in the butt for the offense, not only with the run, but the protections and how you dictate your protections. So you can personnel, especially when you're in pass situations, to take your best interior lineman, put them on the nose, and rush. If you do nothing in terms of movements, we call it rush the snap hand of the center. If he's a right-handed guy, he's going to rush his right side A gap, his snap hand. You got to snap it and then get that right hand back up again. So you pressure that hand that he snaps with, and then or you take like what we did with Cornell Brown. We were playing Pitt, and his brother was the offensive tackle. Ruben was the left tackle. We said, Cornell, you're going, when it's third down, you're going to our left side, their right. Your brother's really, really good player. I'll give you one shot on your brother. But there's a reason why the guy's the right tackle, and you want to be player of the week. And so we always put our best outside edge rusher on the offensive defensive left side, offensive right side. Because we did, the All-American, if you're a left tackle and you're really, really good, like a Jonathan Ogden or a Reuben Brown, two left tackles that just really were outstanding. Well, why put your best rusher on him? What's that going to prove? There's a reason why he's an All-American. We need productivity. We need sack productivity, or disruptions. So, yeah, you can get into specifics with the PFF, and it's a fascinating system, what they've done with that. And especially, evaluating the personnel, which I think I've mentioned this before, the NFL people, it's such a personnel matchup game. And I really believe colleges are way into that now than we've ever had been before. And it allows you to do
connected. It's connected now like it never was before, isn't it? Between the college and the program. It feels like that. And and PFF has a lot to do. It started out as a pro thing, right, for the NFL teams, and now it's it's heavily, yeah.
I don't know the history of it. All I know is when I started doing portal kids for New Mexico and for UAB, they both, all of a sudden I'm on the portal. I've got the system. They gave me the password and username, and I'm logged in, and I'm good to go. And it's been fun. I just got done with the passing game. Now I've got to do a synopsis. What I do is I finish the run game, quarterback run game, and I do a total synopsis of the kind of run, the personnel they're used, by the down and distance, all the factors in the game that never change, the frequencies, because that's what you're dealing with, numbers, take away what they do best. And the multiplicities in the formations. They're another offense that use multiple tight ends. They'll have 3 tight ends, 2 tight ends in a game at the same time, so. But it's been good. It's been a lot of fun. It's been tedious. It's been, stimulating but tedious.
And you'll be utilizing that when you break down the Tech games every week too, won't you? You'll be looking at.
Well, see, the problem with that is if we were going to do it on a Monday, I asked Todd. I said, Todd, when does the 26th season start? Because I got it. You can do NFL games, and you can do your major colleges basically. I think they have it to certain divisions too. Power 4, Group of 5, but I think they've got some 1AAs. You can look up you can look up Fair.
That's cool. That's cool.
And I'm sure this year Roanoke College will probably be on it. But I won't get those. He told me, he said they won't have all that stuff done till Tuesday or Wednesday of the week on a Saturday game or a weekend game. It's usually 3 days, takes them 2 to 3 days to gather, get all that stuff inputted. So I'll have to do it the old-fashioned way when I do for Greg's show. When I prep for Greg's show on Monday with Virginia Tech, I'll watch it I'll watch a game on TV, and then Sunday I'll go to the statistics and I'll look at the highlights, and then try to do a synopsis of who, what, when, where, why, and how, as far as the outcome of the game dealing. The only statistics I've ever dealt with was what stats in football affect the outcome of a game, like third down, turnover. I have always been a believer in rush attempts. That's one statistic people don't look at it enough. And I learned that when I used to watch Virginia Tech and Syracuse after, with Bud being the D coordinator. When Syracuse would have over 40 rushing attempts, it was 50-something points. When they held Syracuse to 25 or less rushing attempts, it was the opposite. Virginia Tech would blow them up. So I really believe that. I start looking at rush attempts. You look at the Virginia Tech. You look at last year's season at Virginia Tech when they had 35 plus rush attempts. They won their games over the last 2 to 3 years. When there was 25 or less, didn't win the game. So that, besides your third down and your turnovers and all those things, just, the kicking game, everything just, it's no such thing as one thing. I remember when I got to Virginia Tech, Frank, they lost, 5 or 6 games in the last 2 minutes. The 92 season, apparently, they were in every game just about, and then all of a sudden, the 2-minute drill. So Frank said, "Hey, we got to have a great 2-minute emphasis." I said, "Coach, I get it 1 or 2 times. We're going to evaluate that anyway. However, what the hell, the other 58 minutes have put you in that position that consistent? Let's get that answered first, and then we'll get into the 2-minute, plan and how we're going to be better at that, before the end of the half or the end of the game, which are 2 different scenarios."
Well, it's cool. It never stops evolving, which always is fascinating to me, right? It never stops evolving how you can try to get prepared every week for an opponent, but then it always just comes down to what? Executing, making sure that you don't mess up, don't turn the ball over, and penalties. It comes back down to human nature. That's why I think that's what makes football so fascinating, right? You put all this into
I don't care,
right?
How many backs are in the backfield, what quarterbacks under the center or in the gun. You got a center, 2 guards, and 2 offensive tackles. And you're going to have a 3-down lineman or a 4-down lineman. And that part of the game has never changed. I don't care if it's single back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. There was a center, 2 guards, 2 tackles, and you're either running some kind of lead block, inside run blocking with a double team someplace. You're gap blocking down, pulling backside lineman, whether a guard or a tackle. Your zone blocking, which is that changed the game tremendously back in the 80s, 70s, the 80s, when the zone blocking schemes came into play. And then you got what I call how you're going to run the ball outside. You either a man block it, what we call pin pulls, and that stuff hasn't changed. There's only about 4 or 5 run concepts that will continue for the next 100 years and 100 years prior, because it's not about plays, it's about your concepts. And the center, 2 guards, 2 tackles, those concepts. Okay, some people will do all 4 or 5 of them. Some people just do 3 of them. Then they'll put a 1 back in there, or a 2 back in there, or no backs with the quarterback running the same line concepts. Then you got your traps and draw blocks and things of that nature. So it's a simple game, but the offenses with the spread coming in, they've really, the window dressings are if you could just keep it between the tackles, you'll get a feel for who they are. What's their offensive personality.
Who in your mind, Coach, are the last people, the truly innovative people that may have changed the game a little bit offensively? Are there people that stand out that evolved the game? Who do you think it is?
Yeah, the very first guy that in my 40 years was Monty Kiffin.
Yep.
With Monty Kiffin, everybody think about this, Rick, back in the 60s, either 50s or 60s, you're either a wide tackle 16, basically an even front, two tackles on the offensive guards and 2 ends on the, outside the tackles, tight end area, that 4 down lineman, or you were a 3 down nose, 2 tackles or ends head up the tackles. You're either an odd or an even front. And most people think about it. Remember the old Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler, it was like playing each other. Everyone was in the 50 odd front slant angle teams. And even the wide tackle 6s could go to a 50 front and slant to the boundary of the field and get back into their wide tackle fronts by moving into it. And I don't want to get too technical, complicated. But what Monty Kiffin did on the slant angles when he was at Nebraska, they lined up in the odd front and they'd slant an angle. And that was the deal. Either, like I said, you're either in that or you were in the wide tackle 6. Those were the 2 base defenses. Well, what he did when he got to Arkansas with Coach Holtz as the D coordinator, he said, well, hell, because everyone's running the split back veer. So let's go to an offensive innovating. You have the split back there with the Houston and then Coach Holtz, Houston Cougars, Bill Yeoman and Lou Holtz really put the split back there on the map of that was the rave of college football back in the early 80s, late 70s. Well, Monty Kiffin's defense ran the split back veer out because what he did is he pre-aligned the slant to the tight end. We'll call it a shade defense, which now took the nose and lined him up outside shoulder of the center. And then you have the 5 technique tackle up on the outside shoulder, the tackle and your outside backer on the tight end. And you reduced the 2-man side with the tackle coming on the guard at the end. So basically, you pre-aligned in your slant to the tight end, and you got into what was called an eagle shade defense, just terminologies, where you had a reduction of 3 technique to the split end side, a 5, and then you had a shade nose 5 and a 9 to the tight end. And guess what happened? The only one guy, that Richter, the center from NC State, could reach that shade nose. It ran the split back veer out because now you couldn't block the nose. If you double team the nose, it just became a real pain in the ass for everybody. We put it in at Richmond in 1977. I was coaching on offense, but our guys put it in Richmond in 77. We lose to Wisconsin couldn't score it. We held them to 1 touchdown. We lost to them 7-6 Wisconsin. We lost to Southern Mississippi 10-6, and this is the year before they beaten Alabama. They were really, really good. They were a top 10 football team, and we had a block punt to win the game, so we actually held them to 7 points. And then we played West Virginia, and we lost to them 9-6. We're the best 0-3 defensive team in America.
That sounds
giving
like
up 6 points a game, and so that was that. So Monty Kiffin with the shade defense really that ran the split back veer out, and then to this day, even Todd Grantham, one of their, I know 4 or 5 years ago, we call it an under front. Coach Saban is under defense it's still being played today. You're either an over front, it's all based on the tight end, how what's your configuration to the tight end side. So you're either an over or an under front to the tight end. You could go field or boundary, whatever you want to do with what we call the bubble or the shade nose and the 5 technique. That's we refer to that as a bubble. So I'm not getting too technical, but that was what then Buddy Ryan in the 46 defense. That was named for Doug Plank because he wore number 46, but he never called them by their names. He called them by their numbers. And Doug Plank was a safety, Yale guy, and they'd bring him down as a linebacker, and they'd take their over front and kick down the 2-man, get into a 0 nose, 2-3 techniques, covering the 2 guards, and then had Wilbur Marshall as a linebacker on the tight end, and then had their outside rush guy to the tight end side or open it. And so basically you're in a 5-down defense, and that changed everything into particular protections. That's what we did. We did it at Virginia Tech. And we moved and stemmed into it. And that was a real pain in the ass for the offensive coordinators. So you had Monty Kiffin as far as defense going to an under defense, change the slant angle, pre-align, line it up instead of slanting to it. You had Buddy Ryan with the Bear defense, the 46 defense, that really changed the game. And now you got the defenses. You got basically it's a Bear defensive philosophy, but now you have, what people are doing now is on defense is they're playing with basically 2 outside linebacker type guys standing up. They're playing with just 2-3 down, 2-3 big guys and 2 stand-up outside backers, then 2 inside backers. So you're basically almost like a 4 linebacker deal now. And then you got your secondary. And that's a lot of people doing. A lot of people getting into 3-man rushes and 5-man rushes, or pressures from the odd front. The run pressures from your odd front are way more effective than from the even front. So that's a big phase as I'm watching it now too. And then offensively, you had the wishbone to the split back veer, the I formation, then the wishbone, then the split back veer, then the spread offense. Rich Rodriguez with the spread offense and basically a 2-minute drill for 4 quarters. The speed and the hurry up offenses where they're trying to get 80, 90 plays a game. And so those are the biggest, and that's why I'm talking to you. The last part of the changes in the spread and the hurry ups that ran me out. I had enough.
Well, on the offensive side, I guess Sid Gilman, right, the father of the modern passing.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. You got Bill Walsh, Sid Gilman, the West Coast,
and Bill Walsh took that and made the West Coast. That evolution.
Yeah, they kind of, all of a sudden the passing game became the running game. Get the ball out, catch for 2, run for 2. There's 4 yards, okay, on first down. So bottom line was, why beat your head against the wall running it when you can throw it? And, it doesn't have to be 10-yard completions anymore. Hey, let's complete it for 2 and let the tight end or receiver, get 2 more yards and we got positive yards. So that was another huge change. The West Coast You look at the Joe Montanas, the Bradys, and those guys that are, from the neck up. They get their decision making and their timing throws was so good at it that it became really effective.
Yeah, I love learning about the stories. Al Davis was a disciple of Sid Gilman. That's why the Raiders motto kept, throw the ball deep. He always wanted the receivers out there. And then Bill Walsh worked under Davis with the Raiders, and was exposed to that mindset of Sid Gilman being in the AFL. I love the way it all kind of culminates when they tell their story a little later on like that.
Well, Bill Walsh, when he was the OC at Cincinnati, I forget who was the quarterback, but he didn't have a, quote, strong arm. There wasn't, the deep intermediate throw game. All of a sudden it became a 5-yard, what we call a horizontal stretch game, threatening the width of the field, putting people in open spaces. And that's where the passing game really changed. It was about where's the space created on the field. We're throwing what they call windows. We're not throwing to people. We're throwing to open windows created, whether it's horizontally or vertically. The horizontal stretches, keep away, sideline to sideline, and the vertical stretches, monkey in the middle. Deep to short. If he's gone, people are covering deep, throw the short routes. If people cover the short routes, throw the deep route. The vertical stretch, so that's how the passing game has evolved, and they're getting so good. The quarterbacks, the 7-on-7 camps. I mean, between 8, it's like anything else, Rick. The quarterbacks are practicing football all year round. They never had done that before. They get to college, they know the spread offense better than the OCs. The OCs are asking the high school kids, "Hey, what do you like?" Just like the college guys get in the league and you get what do you like? What's your favorite plays? What's your favorite routes? What's your favorite pass concepts? What do you do best? When you get those interviews at the combine for quarterbacks, those kids are getting asked that questions. They're asking them questions of what they think they do best, getting them on the board. So,
well,
sorry for all the technicality, but
it's great. It's great. I just wonder if we're going to have anybody come along. Like, what's the next thing going to be? Right? What's the next big thing?
It's coming back. The multiple tight ends because of the defenses that are being played. You're basically playing with just 3 big guys and 4 intermediate guys and 4 small guys, being DBs, intermediates being linebackers, and the 3 down because of the spread. Now all of a sudden you got a bear defense with 2 outside linebacker type, basically big safeties that go to outside backers. Then you got your true inside backers, and one of those inside backers is really probably even another former safety or running back, become what they call the adjusting backer that can go to, it depends on what your pass defense concepts are, whether it's split safety coverages or middle of the field coverages to add. Remember, Rick, it's a numbers game. Football's a numbers game. If you've got 2 blockers, I want 3 defenders. If you've got 1 receiver, I want potentially 2 defenders. It's a numbers game. You got 6 blockers, I'm going to be in a 7-man front. I'm going to outnumber the blockers. Well, when you get to the spread and when the quarterback is like this guy from Central Michigan, when it's 11-on-11, you can't crap the 12th guy. There's no outnumbering. If you want to keep a deep zone defender, particularly middle of the field, all of a sudden you got to bring that guy down in the box, and you're playing your no help man, and that's where those guys get you. The wishbone teams, they'll get your ass when they're throwing the football. Think about it. They only threw it 6 times, but 4 of them were taking shots. They were throwing. I used to tell people, I say, you guys, this dink and dunk pass game. Hey, at least when people were in the wishbone, they only threw it 6 times. Yeah, but 4 of them were down the football field to the end zone, and all they needed was 1 or 2 scores on it. Don't forget, you never get booed on an incomplete deep pass as an offensive coordinator.
That's true. That's very true. Hey, I wanted to ask you, as you've talked about him before, I don't know if you saw it, the Packers cut Kyron Drones already after one preseason weekend. And so you always felt like maybe he was brought into a system that didn't really fit him. And that's at this point, I mean, because he is so big and he's such an athlete, he was intriguing. I don't know if anybody else is going to pick him up or not, but is there some way he could ever fit in that league? Would it be as a tight end? Can a quarterback very easily, make
Derek
that?
Fenner did it. I mean, not Fenner. What's his name?
Logan Thomas did it. I know.
Yeah, there are a couple of guys that have done it. A couple of the Carolina guy who was the quarterback that went to from Hampton High, went to Carolina for basketball too.
Oh yeah,
he ended up playing tight end. I think.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
So because I know he was with the Raiders as a tight end, and but with him, I think it's too late. I mean, his biggest issue was here he goes, this quote highly recruited kid again, the same old crap. 247 puts him as a 4-star. He goes to Baylor. He has 2 starts at Baylor. 2 starts, Rick. And then they bring him to Tech, and they never took the jersey off him. And that's, I think, a big mistake with 2 starts. If he had 25 starts, okay, and all of a sudden he's at Baylor and he's winning the Big 12 conference, okay, all right, I'm gonna put the jersey. I'm gonna put the jersey on him. But with 2 starts, I'm taking the jersey off this kid. Let me see what he can do when the bullets are flying. Next thing you know, they get into a game with him and find out that the expensive losses, what he can't do. So it didn't shock me. I'm surprised he got into a camp. It's lunch money for them. I mean, one day give him lunch and send him packing. I'd have made him a linebacker D-end on college. I'd have called him in and say, you got 2 choices. Go to the portal, put your hand in the dirt on defense if you want a chance. And you may not be able to play there. I don't know. I have no idea, but you are not playing quarterback. I would have done that. I would have. And that's why, again, Rick, I'm talking to you because, 1.3 million. So, but that's how off the wall I am. That's my thoughts on it.
No, I think it's interesting. You hate that for the kid. I think he's a pretty good kid. I just hate that
he's a great kid, but
it just didn't work out, didn't work out for him.
No, so you take the good kid away. What do you got? 3 wins as a quarterback.
I know.
So, it's and that's not on him either. I'll throw something at you. We can get into this. I had a chance to be on a Zoom call Friday with my buddy Matt Sheldon, who was my GA at Wisconsin. Been in analytics for the league for like 20 years. He's very prominently well known, well respected, and he does Zoom calls like once or twice a month on Fridays. And he had 61 people on this Zoom call, and he had big time guys that have coached in the NFL, guys that are in analytics in the NFL. He had a guy on there. Let me get this guy's name. Mike Serbo, who was on the Dan Patrick show for about 17 minutes. He all of a sudden he's on Colin Cowherd, Dan Patrick, all those, should have been on Rick Watson.
Yeah, we got to get him on here.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell? But he's this guy is I think he works for The Athletic now, I think. But he had a thing that he did. He had a quarterback ranking by tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all 32 starters. And some of it was controversial, but a lot wasn't. Like he had Mahomes was number 1, Allen was 2, Stafford 3, Burrow 4. Okay, great. Yeah. And you could, however, who is 1 is just who cares. But what was interesting was my question to Matt was, I want to know why in the hell do these throwaways, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Sam Donald, I mean first round throwaways, complete failures with their organizations. Daniel Jones, the Giants, Cleveland, And so, the question that was posed to, and here's the thing, when they did this tier thing, it wasn't just this guy by himself. He talked to hundreds of, assistant coaches, GMs, quarterbacks. He had resources from people like, wow, that got that information to make the final decisions. And the thing he posed on the Zoom call, what was really interesting, does the quarterback fail the organization, or does the organization fail the quarterback?
Right, which we talked about. That's true.
Pertinent question. And you know what? Talking to the head coach of the Vikings and a lot of the OC, quote, OCs or OC head coaches, you know what their percentages were? The organizations fail the quarterback. When it's
I agree with that. I agree with that. I do.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
It's the organizations that fail the quarterback. They're first rounders. They're thrown into it, and either build the team, get the quarterback, or get the quarterback, build the team, And I thought that was fascinating. But this Mike Sorbo, interesting points. He goes, because my question was, how do these guys go from the outhouse to the penthouse? Or at least be able to knock on the door of the penthouse. They may not be in it, but they've gone from trash to very effective. Hey, we're winning. We're going to win games and give your team hope. If Daniel Jones doesn't get hurt, they're 8-0, and he gets hurt. They're 8-0. He's having an MVP year. Baker Mayfield, he's all of a sudden his name gets thrown in the MVP. Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl. Here's what the assessment was, which fascinated me because, I'm thinking, hell, they're finally getting coached. That was my initial.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But you know what? They brought out, he said, number one, think about it. These guys have experience in the NFL and we're with good coordinators somewhere in their career. But it didn't work, okay, because the team was because they were on a really, all three of them were, maybe exception of Cleveland, but most of them, not that they were with poor defenses, but all three of those guys went to teams that had outstanding defenses. Okay. And where Daniel Jones goes to the Colts for 8 games, they're playing really, really good defense. Baker Mayfield goes to Tampa Bay. They're playing really good defense. Sam Darnold goes to the Minnesota, playing really good defense. Then Seattle playing better defense. And he said, there's so many factors involved in that, just outside of coaching in the revival of quarterbacks. It's the big picture of things. So I thought that was fascinating.
It is fascinating. No, it is.
Getting to a Chiron Jones, to sit there and say, hey, he was a crap quarterback. He won 3 games, but just don't forget, Virginia Tech's defense was not very good. And on and so forth and so forth. And, but when you're, especially in college, particularly, when you're a first round guy and all that first round money, I mean, who's going first, the quarterback or the coaches? Well, no, the coaches. They're getting fired. Okay, it's almost like a curse to draft a first round quarterback. Unless you're the Falcons or the Raiders, which is really smart. Let's get Kirk Cousins and take the pressure off, which is smart on their part.
I agree.
So the Chiron Jones thing, I've always believed that they needed to bring someone in to beat him out. He didn't have enough parts around him. And I'm not so sure that if they could have gotten the greatest quarterback in the world, still wouldn't have worked, because defensively they were not very good. Offensive line was not very good. It was a perfect storm for failure in his career. The perfect storm. And it got worse. Nothing got better. So
this shows you how quickly, when you don't make the right decision at quarterback, how quickly it gets sideways, Rick, and goes right immediately.
3 positions, Rick: quarterback, O-line, and DB. Not only do you need, what does a great coach constitute? A great evaluator. And it goes hand in hand. Chicken or the egg. You can argue which comes first. Here's the argument. Here's the winner of the argument. You cannot have one without the other.
Yeah.
You cannot. You will not be a successful DB coach without being a really outstanding evaluator or a quarterback coach or an O-line coach in those positions, because your margin for errors are really minimal. They diminish. Hey, you get a tailback, you block it for 4, he gets 4. All right, great. He's not turning the ball over. All right, great. Is he hitting home runs? No, but okay, he's functional. There's certain positions you can be functional, but not an O-line, not a quarterback, and not a defensive back. You cannot be functional. You better be really on point.
Who's been one of the best guys you've seen that's overcome his physical limitations by just being smart, by understanding what he can do, what he can't do? Is there a guy too that stands out?
I made a living off those guys. We ain't got enough time to go through them. I will give you one example. I think maybe I'm repeating myself, but I'll give you an example. I'm at Purdue. Joe Tiller calls me in the office. He goes, I got to suspend Stu Schweigert, our All-American safety, second-round draft choice, played 12 years in the NFL. Great athlete. One of the best safeties in the Big Ten at that time. He said, I got to suspend him. We're playing Penn State 2 weeks from now. They're not very good, and that's the game I'm going to suspend them. I'm going to give you 3 quarterbacks on Sunday. Because he goes, I don't like your backup. I said, well, I don't either. He said, I'm going to give you 3 quarterbacks. You pick out the one you want, and you get him ready to start because your backup's just not good enough. It's all right. So on Sunday, I went out there. Eventually, what I picked, 6'2.5", 3-ish, 210-pound, 5 flat, 4'9", former walk-on at quarterback that they scholarship. He was in the top 3. I said, that's the guy. Why? He said, he's an A student at Purdue. And you talk about smart from the neck up. I always call it 1 AA body, 1 A head. Okay? And next thing you know, in 2 weeks, we got him ready to start at Purdue. Never changed the call sheet in 2 weeks. Never played defense in his life. And we're playing Penn State. Now, they're not a good football team, but it's Penn State. It's a Big Ten game. He's starting at safety. If Joe only knew what we beat them with, he'd have fired his offensive coaches. And then you got Brandon Simonis. Brandon Simonis at Virginia Tech. A 1A head and a 1 AA body. I used to look at him and tell him, hey, look, you got a 1A head, 1 AA body. Do not screw this up. You better bring that 1A head with you every minute of the day. So, yeah, Joe, it's like, I had more fun with those kids. And those are the most memorable players. I can name them all. Jason Doring. And by the way, the quarterback converted to safety. He had the 1 start. Stu came back, but he was the backup. And then the next year, he ended up being the starting safety on an 8-win Purdue team. He had a hell of a career. He was a 3rd-string safety, So you don't think I could take Tyrone Jones and in 2 weeks get him ready to play? Hey, he's a whole lot better athlete than that safety was. I can guarantee you that.
You would have had him ready. I believe that. You would have.
Oh no, I mean, it was like, well, it's obviously too. It's a mindset too. You got no choice. The head coach is giving you no choice. You got to get him ready. But okay, so what are you going to do? I'll pick out the smartest son of a gun that can, hey, give me a one-time guy. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna rep you, and that's it. Steel trap, one time. And those are the guys. Brandon Simonis, one-time guy. He'll get it. Jason Doring, safety had at Wisconsin, played in the NFL for 6 years. Was a walk-on for us. Probably Lloyd Carr at Michigan. When I was coaching against Michigan in the Alamo Bowl, when I was at Nebraska, staffs got together for a social, and I knew Lloyd Carr well enough. My Big Ten experiences, at Wisconsin, and we were all shooting the bull, and Jason Doring's name came up. Now this is Lloyd Carr, coaching in Michigan for over 20 years. He said, Phil, he's probably in my top 3 of the best safeties I've seen in this league. How about that? I went, oh my God. So I've had numerous players like that.
That's cool.
And they're very gratifying, and they're fun to coach.
What about a guy who had everything? I mean, he was Lawrence Taylor, but did not work out. Is there one guy that stands out that you remember that had no reason not to be? Those guys usually make it one way or the other.
They're not really. I mean, most of the guys that if they had enough talent or, exceptional talents, that they lived up to their billing, because now there are guys who real poor off-field decision makers had nothing to do with their talent that kept them from playing for quote, me or us or whatever, and that was always I've gone into programs, most of them, probably 50% of the programs I went into, the reason why I was hired was there's problems. I was the problem solver. I was the fixer. And that's a good news, bad news as far as career is concerned, trust me. And whether it's defensive back or as a unit, so, when you go in there, you start assessing, and next thing you know, these players that they're playing with, well, there's a reason that, number one, they're probably more than anything else is their discipline and character was in question, but they had talent. So, I don't get blinded by talent. You give me an intelligent guy, two kinds of players, Rick, problem solvers and problem creators. I need problem solvers. Right. I need guys who thrive on the adversities. I need guys who, it's just, we could do a whole show on it. I'm not the only coach that thinks that way, but I made a living off of that. I did. I really did. I made a living off of smart guys with enough talent.
Did you have a sense when you were done fixing programs it was time? Did you get a feeling that you were ready to try the next challenge? Because that's something that really attracted you.
Well, yeah, because the program got rid of me. You go in there. It's like, it really is. It's really tough. It's tough on everybody, and you're welcome out. Coach Holt's the same thing. I'm not comparing myself to Lou. God knows. You can't do that. Lou, after a while, it wears off. You go in there, you fix it, and next thing you know, it is fixed, and it's time to move on. And sometimes I got to know that, and sometimes I got a feel for it. I'm not, quote, wanted anymore. And not that, that happens. I think when you're teaching all the time, going into different, I tell coaches this: don't make the mistake I made. Sit, and I just thrived on the challenges, love the challenges. But my problem was, especially a DB coach, when you're teaching, you're not learning. You're really not getting better as a coach, and as far as expansion of the game and keeping up with the game and all that stuff. I always believe that after evaluating my career, but I love the challenges. I always looked at a film and I said, I can help this guy. I can help. That was my whole mantra, that when I'm watching a team that's not playing well, I can help them. And that was my attitude.
Well, I think that's why you were so well received, because coaches brought you in. They knew you were immediately there to try to make them better because you cared about it. You wanted to be that guy. That's cool.
Well, when Joe Tiller fired the DB coach, He did not want to hire me because of my resume, but the OC in DC did because we'd beaten their Drew Brees. We beat him 2 years in a row. But Kevin Cosgrove, the defense coordinator, talked to Brock Spack, the D coordinator, and he said, "Look, he may only be with you 1 year, but it's going to be like 3 years squeezed into one." He said, "It will change. The program will change. The attitudes of the defensive secondary will change, and a standard will change." And so
it did. And it did.
And then, it did for a long time. It was on a roll. And then towards the end of the career, it got personal and it wore off and time to get out.
Did you feel, I was going to say, did you realize, did you wake up one day? Was it a slow lead up when you realized it was time to go ahead and?
Yeah, no, it was when I was at Ferrum, I knew that was it. Done. Over. Enough. Game at football got rid of me.
But yeah, look how you bounce back now. You're still involved. You still have programs who just they want to find out what's going on in your head when you watch them. I mean, I think it says a lot, Coach. Your legacy, man.
Again, everybody's got strengths and weaknesses as coaches. And people talk about the turnaround of Virginia Tech, and it wasn't anything to do with the X's and O's. It was the personnel, finding the right guys who hated to lose. You got to find the guys that hate to lose. They hate losing. They detest losing. That's the first thing you get. Not the ones that want to win. Everybody in the stands want to win, but the people that hate losing.
Yeah.
That just detest it. That on that Tuesday, Wednesday practice or Monday preparation, it's a whole different mindset, whole different attitude because they hate losing. And that was the first thing we had to find at Virginia Tech, guys who were tired of it enough. And then, get the right talent and mixture in there. And that's the key. And then fundamentals. That's probably the other impact I had. Even on some of the worst teams I've ever coached, it's my fault as much as anything else. I'm not blaming it on anybody but me, but our efforts in tackling and block protections, the fundamentals of the game and the efforts, you could still look. And I don't know if there's any one time that I could say that we were really, really, really poor, even on the worst teams, so that was the other thing too. My strengths, great. Worked hard at the fundamentals of the game. I've always told players, my number one job is to keep you healthy and keep you productive. In order to do that, you got to be good fundamentals. If you got good fundamentals, you'll be healthy and you'll be productive. And then you'll be physical too. With good tackling fundamentals, whether you're protecting yourself with blocks or tackling, all of a sudden your football team, when your opponents are watching the film, you look physical. This, Rick, you boxed. Those haymakers, those collision hits, those haymakers, they ain't hurt nobody. It's that 6-inch son of a gun that every muscle fiber of that body goes into the punch. And it's
Correct.
A 6-inch explosion. That's the knockout. Am I right or wrong?
No, that came from here as opposed to, yes, 100%.
Yeah, the haymaker. They ain't hurt nobody. It's a crowd pleaser. They ain't hurt nobody. You want to hurt somebody?
Yeah. The one you don't see. The one you're not ready for. The one you're not expecting to feel that way. Correct.
Yeah, the 6-inch punch, because you're using, everything comes from the lowers, the large muscle groups, not the tricep, bicep. It's that butt muscles and the hands and and that hip and that thing, that lower body. Those large muscles go to work, and when everything's working, that 6-inch punch, which stems from the ankles to the fist, it's devastating.
Nah,
and that's what you want to do in your timing of the game and in tackling. Teams get physical reputations when they're really good fundamentally. Oh my God. I text Louis Anarumo. I thought the Colts, I don't care who they were playing. I didn't know who they were playing. I texted him. I said, I watch the highlights of the game. I said, geez, you guys, good tackling fundamentals, from down the line players, not their starters. I can't imagine what the starters are going to be like if the young kids are learning those kind of fundamentals from him. Lou Anarumo is a great fundamental teaching coach. He's got a great reputation in the league. And he texted me back. He goes, "Yeah, I was really pleased with that." And I said, "Well, you're going to have a good year. You can tell certain teams, I think, they may not be playing the starters, but just watch defensively their fundamentals, how they're tackling, how they're getting off blocks, how they're chasing the ball. And you'll get an idea of what your team's going to be like. Then when the starters they're probably doing the same thing too.
Yeah, right.
So if your young team or your young kids or your third teams or second team guys or your free agents, they're not playing fundamental, they're not playing hard, well, your first team ain't going either.
Yeah.
Just because your first team going there, they ain't turning that on. That's an indictment on your coaches, one way or another.
See, Coach, you could have even been a boxing coach. You know about the difference in punching leverage. That's pretty good.
No, I'd have been the punching bag.
And the best I've ever seen at the compact punches was Iron Mike Tyson.
Oh,
he never took a wind up because he
You got to see the replay to see how effective the punch was because it's so quick.
I know.
But that's
wind up guys don't last very long.
Tackling, the fundamentals of tackling, Rick. I learned this from John Gutekunst, D coordinator of Virginia Tech, probably the best. When he was a coordinator at Duke back in the 70s, Duke probably had one of the better defensive teams in the ACC, the most physical teams. I learned more about tackling fundamentals from John than I did any coach, and it carried me well into my career. He was a great baseball. He loved baseball. He played baseball at Duke too. He was a Duke graduate. Played linebacker at Duke or DB at Duke. But he said, I said, tell me about teaching your tackling progression. He goes, well, he used a baseball analogy. He said, look, think about batting practice. Okay. What's the batter trying to develop? Timing. The pitcher throwing full speed? No, because you're developing your timing and your swing. Get rid of the hitches. Get that whole body moving and just timing. Those home runs are effortless. And he said tackling is the same thing. You do not have to do it full speed. Teach it. Now, if you got to evaluate courage, you made a recruiting mistake. You recruit courage. You recruit toughness. But your timing so every drill is about developing timing, the when of taking that body and where every ounce of that body is just from the ankles on up at the moment of truth and developing that's all you're doing. It's batting practice. And that was a lesson I carried with me. And I'm good at it. And I'm still to this day, I'm good at it because it's a progression teaching, and you're not dick measuring out here. We're trying to develop a fundamental of the game.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, it's great stuff, man. We've been sitting in class all day since you got here. That's good. We appreciate
well,
you.
I'm sorry, Rick. Sometimes I'll go back and I'll try to I'll listen because I want to see if it's really a self-critique. It's not about ego.
No, it's great, man.
I try to
awesome.
critique and I'm sitting there going, geez, I'm just rambling sometimes, Rick. You got to, honest to God, I feel like when Coach Norton left me in the bull in the ring way too long now.
Oh no, it's great, man. It always layers itself. It's always something that follows it. So it's great. It's great.
Well, see, Grantham, he's a whole lot smarter than I am. You can see the difference between the two now.
He stood me up today. He actually has coaches meetings this morning. How dare he have a coaches meeting?
He's working. People asked me the other day, they said, what are you doing? I'm sitting next to this one gentleman I was out with. Jenna and I went out and what's your day like? I get up, cup of coffee, do a YouTube show, go work out, do a little football for my buddies, and then take a nap and go to happy hour. That's one day.
You've earned it. What a great day.
I got to show you this. Coach Leftwich, Greg's sidekick on Randy Leftwich's sidekick in WFIR. He had this AI generated
I love it.
deal. So I'm sending this to all my buddies. Go, you'll be there one day.
I love it. Oh, I love it. We got to get one of those. I need one of those. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I'll take a picture of it and send it to you.
Yeah, I need that.
It was so cool. He did it for Greg, himself, me, and he said listed all the schools vertically and horizontal that I coached at, and sitting in a beach chair. So I started looking at it and said, I'm going to send that to all my buddies that are still in coaching and go, good luck this season. Here's what you got to look forward to.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, boss.
All right. Tell Greg I got to get him on the show, too. I need to reach out to Greg.
Oh, yeah. I think you'd enjoy that.
It'd be great to have him back on. Yeah.
Hey, 10 years in a row, best sports radio in the state of Virginia for 10 straight years.
Yeah, we got to get him on here. Yeah, we need to get him on here. Absolutely. Need to get on here.
Next time I talk to him, I think he'd love to come on.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've done something with him. So, yeah, we need to do that. We need to do that again. So, all right, Coach, you have a great rest of your Monday. You made our Monday a lot better, so I appreciate you.
Well, appreciate it, Rick. Thank you. You take care, buddy.
All right, brother. Take care. Needed that from Coach Elmo. Came in a little down. We'll get to the reasons why if you're just tuning in. Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios. Thanks to Jason Green, 540-200-8294, familyfencingnrv.com. Mark Hunley, McClellan Chiropractic, 155 Walters Drive. He's sponsor of our chat room. Thanks to him. Travis Williams and Professional Door Incorporated, our text line sponsor, 540-391-0788. Thanks to Travis. The text line is always popping. We need a question, by the way, for our attorney, Ryan Pry, BDST fan question of the week. 701 West Main Street in Radford, Trust and Estate Planning. We're presenting each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. Thanks to Charles Lee, 553-2971. National Bank, member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of yours truly and this program. Thanks to Lara Ramsey. The Ready Set Fund, ReadySetFund.com, BobChrystal11@gmail. You reach out to Bob and read up on the Ready Set Fund, how a series of text messages could help you and your group, school group, athletic team raise money very quickly. Sundown Electric, excellent reputation, long list of satisfied clients, superior craftsmanship, attention to detail. Smith Brothers, continuing, they're the best electrical wiring service company in the area. NRV Super Bowl 540-382-5525 leagues now have formed. Kids leagues, men's, women's mix. They're always looking to add. And Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. Thanks to James, 540-381-8011. Thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel as well. So that gentleman on the left is Tom McHugh. The gentleman on the right is the greatest closer in the history of baseball, Mariano Rivera. The Mick met him. We called him DeMick. He was a guest host here on the program. He was a pastor of a local church here. Got to know him. Great baseball fan, great guy. And he would always, when I needed him, we developed a really good relationship and friendship. And he would pinch hit for me as my guest host back on the original radio show. And he passed away yesterday. He had some health issues. So we're kind of just dedicating the rest of the week to the Mick. And I know I remember when he sent me that picture, he was so happy. Because Mariano Rivera was one of his all-time favorite pitchers, and rightfully so, because you can mention all those great players during that Yankees dynasty of the 90s, and there was no beating them when this guy was coming into the game. So the Mick was funny. He was a natural, gifted character. He went into character with the Mick, exaggerated his New York accent, would tell the stories of his days growing up on the streets, dealing with the mafia, the real life mafia. but always adapted. He moved here from New York and came to Southwest Virginia and made this his home, and he had a great appreciation. So, Mick, we miss you. And I hate that I kind of lost touch with him the last several years, but I know at the time he's been having some health issues, and I won't get into those to keep the family's privacy, but great dude. And he added a lot to the show, and he would come on even, from time to time, and we'd go through baseball and have a baseball background. So, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a sobering start to the week for me. So it always helps, though, being in here talking to everybody. So thank you for that. And thanks for understanding. Yeah, I agree. Kevin sent in, man, I could listen to Coach Elmo for another hour. I know. He apologized. He thinks he's rambling, but he builds on layers and layers of knowledge, and you just take it all. You think of all the programs that utilized him, and you think about if you talk to Frank Beamer today, one of the first 2 or 3 names he would bring up is Filmation as to how Tech got it rolling. So he never is rambling. It's always intriguing. It's always a learning experience. And then some. I sit there like you, and I'm just sitting there like, wow, this is so cool. It's just so cool to hear about that. And then you start thinking about it. And then you watch games and you're thinking about what he's saying. But I watched quite a bit. Thank you. Everybody makes fun of me now that I'm watching preseason football. Go ahead. I just realize how much you miss the game itself as opposed to all the crap surrounding the games. So, yeah, I have enjoyed it. I've liked what I've seen so far. The officials are letting guys play. Even in the preseason, it's transferring. I hope this is new. I think we're getting to the bottom of why the games and why the NFL product has been so bad, and it's been because of the officials. And I'm not just talking about missing calls, but the over-officiating of games and letting players dictate things. Not every hit that looks violent is a foul. Use some common sense before you throw your flag. And in the games I'm watching, that's what I'm seeing. So far, now, I'm not counting on it lasting. What's up, Chris Lester? Yeah, good morning. Yeah, Coach Elmo and Rags, football go. Yeah. And I'm very proud that it's worked out on this program here on YouTube. Year 2 we're now in. Wow, it's hard to believe. We're starting week 2 of year 2. That we're able to have those 2 gentlemen on one program together, not at the same time, but we should do that. Uh-oh. Mind blown. All right, that's going to happen. What we need to do, and I'll just leave for the day because you won't need me. We need to have Coach Foster, Coach Elmo, and Coach Ragsdale on at the same time. Don't you think? You talk about. You better get a notebook. I got to work on that. How much fun would that be? Wow. How much would we learn that day? Mind blown, baby. Mind blown. I don't think there'd be anybody complaining about that. I don't think anybody go, oh, really? How about that? Imagine having Coach Elmo, Coach Foster. And I have to call him Coach. I can't call them by their names. I know a lot of people see, but hey, bud, hey, bud, and he doesn't mind. But for me, he's Coach Foster. when you're one of the greatest to ever do it, and you will be forever, it's Coach Foster. It's not Bud. That's Coach Elmo. That's Coach Ragsdale. That's Coach Beamer. I could never call Coach Beamer by his first name. I don't think I ever have. Coach Hicks. It's Coach Hicks. Right? I was talking to Coach Dave Chris over the weekend. Every time it's just Coach. I can't. Some of the best people, some of the greatest to do it. And I think it provides the respect that they deserve. Right? The coach. He's the coach. Coach Mabry. I don't call David Mabry Coach David. I call him Coach Mabry. He's Coach Mabry. He's forgotten more about the game than I'll ever know. First names are for your spouses. Sorry, I didn't sleep well. I was taken aback last night when I got the news about the Mick. It was that was a tough message to receive. But this has helped. It's always therapeutic, as Barney Fife would say. Andy, just remember, it's therapeutic. Yeah, I know. A lot of people do that. In my business too, they call them, and I'm like, oh, that's Coach. It almost comes across like a sign of disrespect when you don't address them like that. I don't know. Hey, what's up, Raymond? I watch every morning. I rarely ever contact the show. What are your thoughts about Tech under James Franklin? Well, I think they're obviously on the uptick. I think they're going to have a good season. I think they're going to be never wanting for anything financially. And I think he's got as good a shot as anybody in that league to make Virginia Tech a consistent ACC, as long as that league stays together, ACC contender. I think if you're a Tech fan, it's the best you can probably feel about Tech football since Frank Beamer left. Oh, I just did it. It's Coach Beamer left. I mean, I know there was excitement. There was a fervor when Justin Fuente, and I'll say Justin Fuente, Justin, got to Blacksburg because it was such a good on-paper hire, and he was the hot name coming from Memphis. But not like this. This has taken it to a level 100 times more than that fervor with James Franklin coming here. So I think until it breaks down, you don't assume it's going to. Does that make sense? It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And I think it's going to be good sooner than later. Like, it's going to not be something that's going to be a 2 or 3 year build. I don't think you're going to have to wait that long. What's up, Tebow? I was just happy to watch some football Friday night. Christiansburg had a mini jamboree. Oh, very cool, at the new Huckleberry Park. LCA and Floyd. How did the Demons look? How did the Buffaloes look? Von Miller of the Cowboys. Yes, saw that. He wanted to re-sign with Denver for a year, but they wouldn't do it. And I don't know what he would have added more than nostalgia. So maybe he'll go to Dallas. You know, he went to Texas A&M. Maybe he'll rebuild there. If it was 2019, I'd be hyped. Low Country says, if Franklin can't win here, I'm not sure who can. Going to be a long year in Christiansburg? Okay. How did the Buffaloes look, Tebow? How did Floyd County look, Tim Cromer's squad? I was over in Floyd on Saturday. Good vibes over there. Needed that. Good vibes. Appreciate the all the messages coming through on the professional door text line. A lot of those are coming in today. Floyd should be okay. All right, good. I don't need to ask about LCA, right? We know they're going to be good. Yeah, Raymond, I did follow up from Raymond. Thanks, Raymond. But Raymond, chime in more often, man. I'm glad you watch, but chime in more often. I went through the schedule. Yes, I went 7-5. I kind of wish I'd have gone 8-4 for Tech. I want to stick to it. But I wouldn't be a bit surprised to also. Now, here's the other caveat, and this isn't trying to bail out my prediction, but I'm just basing it on what we've seen. If we end, I'm not going to predict it, but if we're sitting here in late November and we're talking about Tech a win away from being part of the ACC championship game, I would not be surprised. And I'm just basing, let's just go back. Let's go back to last year. We don't have to go back too far. 3 things I never saw happening. Virginia and Duke playing, I'll count that as 2 things, playing in the ACC title game, and Wake Forest winning 9 games. And if that can happen at Wake, where they have nothing, they have a little bit. I won't say they have nothing. All right, Gayo, Chris is giving me a little bit of a reprieve. You don't have to give an official statement till champions. Thank you, Chris. I may have to go back. Let me take that back. I'm not dissing Wake at all, but they do not have, in comparison, what Tech has financially, reputation-wise. It's a small, one of the smallest Division I school, maybe the smallest Division I school. Would you be surprised if Tech had to beat UVA? Yes. Yes. If it came down to Tech having to win, let's say they had 5 wins and then if they only have 5, yes, that would surprise me. Yes. Then I would be color me shocked. Who's in the national title game? Well, our peeps here, Geese, picked Ohio State and Georgia. Who do you have, Geese, in the national title game? Did you see Kurt Signetti's jab at Notre Dame, by the way, over the weekend? Talking about how that series, it's either going to be delayed or not going to happen. And he says, well, I don't really worry about it since they're not really part of a conference. All right. I like it. Texas, Notre Dame. I like that, Geese. Isn't that what he said? Isn't that what he said, Signetti? Just a little subtle jab at Notre Dame. We don't really consider them since they don't play like the rest of us or whatever he said. I love that dude. But yeah, Raymond, I think Tech's going to potentially be better than what I initially predicted record-wise. And I base a lot of that on the quarterback. And trust me, I have no problem with it. You know what? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I end up butchering that whole thing and I'm wrong, and I screwed it up, guys. It is what it is. This may be the most disappointing 10-win season ever because NC State and UVA avoids everyone. That's true. Hey, Dr. Laundry, welcome back. We do remember you. Tebow has Tech losing to Cal, Clemson, and the U. Yes, I did too. Who are the other two that I had them losing to? Oh, my God. Telling you, man, it's been a long weekend. Worked all weekend. I know. I'm not being that guy. I'm just telling you. And I haven't recovered from finding out about Mick. We're looking it up right now. Here we go. Oh, I had them losing at Maryland. I know. Stop calling me names. SMU. Yeah. I do not have them beating SMU. So the one I really don't like is the Maryland pick. I know, geese. God, stop. Thank you, Dr. Laundry. I appreciate that. Glad you're going back and watching. We get a lot of rewatches. For me, this says I'm very confident in the Hokies offense, but yeah, that's the way I feel. I know they've got some potential talent, but I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see how the defense plays. Vernon Davis doesn't play there anymore. I know. You know what I'm basing that on? I believe that's the game that if Tech wins it, I think Maryland will have to go ahead and decide that it's not working for them. I think they've already decided that. They just hadn't pulled the trigger yet. And Wayne, there you go. There it is. Haven't beaten a power. That's unbelievable. Not beating a Power 4 school on the road. It's 9 years. For the love of everything, how can that happen to Virginia Tech football? Oh, good. Chris, you can give us a rundown. Please do. We would welcome that mightily. All right. So for Mike Loxley to survive, he's got Hampton. They might lose at UConn. Then they've got Tech, UCLA, at Nebraska, at Ohio State, Rutgers, Illinois, at Purdue, Wisconsin, at USC, Penn State. It's been nice knowing you, Coach Loxley. So if Tech wins that game, you're going to beat Hampton. They don't have any other 100% win on there if they beat Hampton. The Tech-Maryland game is going to go not around here. Nationally, will kind of go under the radar, but that's a huge game. I don't know, Prometheus. I don't know. The schedule, the ACC doesn't get anything right. Tebow says, I feel like it may take a few games for the D to find its way. By game 4 or 5, they start finding their groove. Could be. And maybe they can survive with the way the schedule falls early, Wayne says, also feel if I set expectations low, they will exceed them. Sure. When you have none and your team does well, you're like, wow, where'd this come from? That makes sense. But I don't know how that works, Prometheus. The ACC has not gotten their scheduling right since Jim Phillips got there. Let's just say it the way it is. It has been an absolute chaotic joke. But the Maryland Tech game is massive. For us, obviously, here in the James Franklin era, going on the road, a place that he used to be. But it might mean everything for Mike Locksley. Right? And I believe it will. You all right over there, Clippity Cloppity? Would you? That's okay. All right. Correct, Prometheus. Correct. 2 years ago. Correct. Yeah, I like Cal better than most people as well, Tebow. I feel like they already have a really good quarterback, right? And they bring in a first-year head coach that feeds into everything that he does exceptionally well. And I believe they have a chance to be very dynamic in the passing game offensively. And they had a very good portal class. So you look at Cal and Stanford, it's gone differently than I thought it would. Stanford perennially has been a bigger deal in college football for a longer time since Jim Harbaugh was there, even before. Well, the Cal Bears, since they got into the ACC, have been the program that has stepped forward of those two that don't belong in the ACC with finances, recruiting. We saw last year the game here. They looked really good last year. Got to go on the road, 3,000 miles away. You cannot underscore that. So it's going to be interesting. Chris says we beat Cal with drones. We're smoking Cal. Well, I've got the SCLSU Mud Dogs winning it all. Early game for me. Thanks there, Frankie, on the professional door text line. I'm intrigued by LSU Clemson. Hell, when's that one? Is that week 0 or is that week 1? That's week 1, isn't it? When is the LSU Clemson game? The Battle of Death Valley. September the 5th, so that's week 1. I'm kind of looking forward to that one. Yeah. Oh, that's a Dabo test and a half right there. Louisville, what's up, Eric Render? Yeah, Louisville might sneak in there too. They're pretty good. They're well coached. Jeff Brom's a hell of a coach. Had an opportunity last year to control their own destiny, didn't do it, but Louisville's good. They are. They are. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I think the ACC. I've said this multiple times, and people have questioned me, publicly. Well, I heard you. You really think that? I do. I think the ACC could be sneaky good this year. I think the league could be a lot of fun with a lot of teams that are going to be maybe similar, that could add for a better depth of the league. And I do. I think it could be a fun league. Oh, Geese, you're going to Texas LSU. That's awesome, man. That is awesome. You will have a blast. But Clemson LSU, Death Valley versus Death Valley. And we'll see if it comes together quickly for Lane Kiffin. Obviously, we're not worried about money and talent there. They got it all. Eric says, I think Dabo, welcome, Eric. Please subscribe. I think Dabo retires this year. I think you're probably right. It feels like that might be his fate. To get out of it and step down. He doesn't want to be around it. Spent a good chunk of my life savings for tickets. I believe it. I believe it. Yeah, I think the ACC is going to be good. Top to bottom. And I hope it is for everybody's sake. I hope that it is. I really do. And I think it will be. I think it will be. All right, great stuff today, everybody. Thank you so much. You helped me a lot today. It was tough coming on today. Rest in peace, Mick. You will be missed. Thoughts and prayers to Peggy and the family. And I know many of the people who watch this program know the family. Matt was a great baseball player at Radford High School in the area, coaching baseball at one time. But we'll be back tomorrow on the Tuesday edition. I believe Todd Grantham will be on the Wednesday, but he had coaches meetings today. They altered their meeting schedule. I told Todd, I said, you could just put us on and let's listen. That'd be cool. He said, nah, I value my job a little too much. But a good start to the week nonetheless. Hope everybody has as good a Monday as you can. Thanks to all of our great sponsors. Thanks to you. Please subscribe, like, and share the channel. It's important if you go back and watch this, please hit the like button really quickly. That a lot of their algorithm thrives on that as well. So please hit that like button. And everybody be good. Thank you. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Tuesday edition.